I'm like, can you speak a little louder? And the nurse goes, she can't. I think I'm crazy. Why do you think you're crazy? I eat the toilet paper. I'm like, oh. So I check iron. If it's under 50, and I'm a brain person, right? You're going to have symptoms of brain injuries if the ferritin's between 40 and 50, or brain not working well. 30 to 40, almost all of them are getting a diagnosis of a mental health issue. Below 20, you're losing IQ points. Hers was 4. And so then I check about 4 more kids that are eating the kitty that are 4. And I call the lab and I say, what the hell?
And why are they eating kitty litter?
It's a pica syndrome. It's just a craving of strange things. The same reason they want the clay, the bread made with clay.
Or eating dirt.
Or eating dirt.
Okay.
Or chomping on toilet paper, or the ashes on a matchstick, the common one. It's strange, okay? It doesn't make any sense. It's just a strange craving for super severely malnourished.
Wow.
And I call the lab, and the lab's like, Dr. Bosworth, we knew you were going to call. We checked our ferritin. It is normal. They're 4. Wow. And Medicare said, well, feed them some iron pills. I'm like, you would need to feed them iron pills for the next 8 years at triple the dose. So I bought them some liver. Teenagers in a shelter eating liver, that went over. But I saved the receipt. And then I said, well, if you were my kidney patient and I was waiting for a transplant, I need to keep your iron. On transplant day, your iron has to be normal or you get put to the bottom of the list.
Oh.
So I can give you iron. So I gave them iron. And I billed Medicaid. And the state of South Dakota said, Medicaid fraud. I got investigated for Medicaid fraud. And I tell you that story because it's in my soul to stand up and do the right thing, even though it's not. And I don't mean to be like, oh, look, I'm doing the right thing. But I came home and I was fighting it, saying, oh, I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. I kept thinking that it was just a misunderstanding. Like, I'll send them the data.
Right.
Here, I called, I didn't just like suddenly whip out IV iron and give it to somebody. I actually called the expert who does it to babies in a NICU at Texas A&M. Okay, I'm like, and so, well, if you're fighting it, everybody that has insurance stops paying you. So now I have no income. I can't get reimbursed by Medicare. I'm getting billed for Medicaid fraud. If I want to give you vaccines, I still have to pay for the vaccines to give it to you and hope that someday I got paid. That was a disaster. So,
oh my gosh.
We sell the house. We sell the boats. So before that, I said, husband, I have a problem. I could say that it's Medicaid fraud and sign these papers. It's not Medicaid fraud. They need the treatment. Because you gave that girl iron. I gave it to her on like a Thursday. Mm-hmm. 3-minute infusion. It costs, $300. And I walk in on Tuesday and she goes, Dr. Bosworth!
She was alive.
Yeah. And you're like, oh. So I got accused of Medicaid fraud. And, well, that's the first chapter of the Attorney General hating me for about a decade.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you are enemy number 1.
Yeah, well.
Because you're saving lives.
But his jurisdiction's South Dakota, and I now live in Florida.
Well, if you wondered why. Okay. Now, I just don't know what to do anymore because everybody is saying something different. How do you respond to that?
Yeah, I make it simple. That there is, I think teachers, they span time, and quality teachers are going to be the ones who stick around. Okay, in my that moment of helping people with iron, big moment for me. But the places I really drew the most joy was taking med students to Haiti, doing that teaching where it was the hardest part that's unscripted. There's not a curriculum here. You just need to, this is how you do it. Coming back from Haiti and thinking about all of the things that we saw, and we saw a lot of poverty, we saw a lot of disease, we saw a lot of what we would consider hopeless situations. But the people of Haiti are just
They're just happy. We look at their living conditions and we look at their lifestyle and we might think, like, how could anybody ever be happy living like that? They have 100 more reasons to complain than almost anyone here does, and yet they are just so joyful and so life-filled, and it's just, I think, an amazing learning opportunity for us to, really focus on all the things that we have and how blessed we are, and to be joyful and to just appreciate that. Where I remember seeing joy come alive in, a real visible, tangible capacity was when we were, the night before we left the orphanage, and all of the kids came out and sang Amen, Alleluia, the song to Dr. Bosworth, because it's one of her favorite songs. And there were probably, 50 plus people there. And so, just seeing all these people sing this song with just such vibrance and exuberance, and everybody from, the youngest kids and the teenagers and the adults were all just, really singing from the heart. And the opportunity for this trip came up in October, and I had always had an interest in international medicine, and it just seemed like a really great opportunity to learn how physicians practice with limited resources, limited medications, and some critical thinking skills that I could use not only hopefully in international medicine in my career, but just all done. A skill set that I could use even as I start residency next year.
And I think I look around the keto space and there's people that rise and fall and they say some radical things, and that gets good clicks.
Sure.
Not gonna lie. I've had some thumbnails where you're like, yep, that eggplant emoji that's limp, fantastic idea. But I just say, look at people who've stood the test of time. Like, I love teaching. You can tell it by what I put out. It's what I put my energy towards. Start with a teacher that's stood the test of time and is still around. And I think those are pretty easy to see.
So then the food that stood the test of time is what we didn't make.
Amen, right? Yeah.
Okay, so if it had a mom.
Right, it's a good idea.
I like to tell people that even if you're going to be a vegetarian, be a clean vegetarian. If you're going to be a vegan, be a clean vegan. Because you can be a trashy eater in any phase of what you eat.
Right.
You can even be a trashy faster if you eat a fasting bar, because that's not fasting, right?
Processed. And
So to somebody who says, well, you say this, but this doctor says this, and this professional says that, what's your response to that?
Yeah, I think you can follow the data on them, though. I mean, when I have a patient in front of me and they're doing that, I just look at their numbers and say, hey, your morning fasting sugar is 95. It should be 70. Okay, that's what normal humans have. And until we get you back down to the numbers that are there, I can show you how to do that. I have tested. The book is because I can't see all of you, but the rules are easy.
Are you saying you have data?
And the beauty is that your numbers will show you.
Okay.
One of the hardest parts about longevity studies is that the dementia comes, and they're now the people we learn from, right? So how does that not be you? How does it not be me?
Right.
Right. So there's some great predictors.
So how do you not become the autopsy?
Yeah, right. And that data is keep their A1Cs low, don't smoke cigarettes, keep your blood pressure controlled. I mean, those are first 3 steps, everybody. And when you look at how to do that, I think there's some pretty easy steps. And check your numbers. Don't let them say this is how it should be, and then don't bring any data.
Last question. What role do you feel proper nutrition plays in mental health? Because I think we're in an age where mental health is on the stand.
Yeah. That's why I entered keto, is that I take care of brains that are broken.
Okay.
And I don't care if it's from sex, drugs, rock and roll, trauma, or aging. They all have some rules on how to repair.
So you mentioned something, trauma. Okay, so mental trauma, PTSD. Now, when I was a police officer, PTSD wasn't a word. It didn't become a popular word until the 2000s. So when you're dealing with someone with PTSD and you're trying to help them through, how do you explain to somebody the role of nutrition with in relation to PTSD? Because alcohol is one of the very common denominators in people who suffer that.
Yeah, I don't know that you can. It's the same attraction to getting an alcoholic to say the first step, like, this isn't working for you, is it? You know, and you can try to force it down their throat, but until they're taking a couple steps towards you saying, I can show you how to fix brains. Alcohol's not your friend. It's gonna swell your brain. It swells it every time, just like a concussion.
Okay.
And that reversal of a concussion, advanced ketogenic diet. Reversal of alcoholism, advanced ketogenic diet. Reversal of PTSD, advanced ketogenic diet. I mean, you have to have the brain in ketosis in order to get the physical repair. And it isn't until some of that physical repair is accomplished that you can then start to say there's layers of emotional behind that too.
Is it too late for somebody who's watching this with a family member who has Parkinson's? Is it too late in their life to introduce a ketogenic diet?
Yeah, so I would say heavens no.
Okay.
That even if Parkinson's has got you shaken down the street, you add ketosis and now my drugs work better. Your walking program has higher improvement with fewer steps. We now can say, I can repair you faster. Can we outpace your Parkinson's? Well, Michael J. Fox is still working on that.
Is he working on it with a ketogenic diet?
He has a very advanced diet. I don't think he goes on and says those words. I haven't seen the new documentary, but I've got lots of people saying I should go watch it. Okay. But I know his medical team, and it wouldn't surprise me that they have that knowledge for him too.
Well, good. And you don't have to be wealthy to get this. That's the great part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, it has been an absolute honor to have time with you today. We went far longer than I thought we
That's
could
good.
go.
No, you could absolutely, well, you're welcome back. And now that you know about the Tuesday mornings, that's another part of my public service is I rent the bowling alley every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. And from 8 to 9:15, I answer questions for free.
For free?
For free.
Okay, so when somebody wants to comment on this video, or they say, well, I'd love to go see her, but I can't afford to pay for her, I can't afford to, she's not taking on new patients, whatever their excuse might be. Now they don't have an excuse except travel to Tampa, Florida.
Right.
Fly into the airport.
Actually, don't do that. That's a lot of money.
Well, but maybe they
Start
can
with
afford
a book.
it.
Yeah, honestly, the fastest way to see what do I do? Yeah.
Start with that.
That book is the fastest one.
Okay. So anyway, I'll look at the attractive couple on the back. Okay, so they start with the book any way you can.
Yeah.
To get them mentally ready.
Yeah, I think it's a story that teaches by accident. Yeah.
And then they show up on a Tuesday morning.
Then they can show up on a Tuesday morning.
And get to meet
Because we used to have a
person.
secret code in South Dakota when I did the meeting. Said if they walk through that front door and they don't know what a ketone is, they can't come in.
Educate yourself a little bit.
Well, I was so tired of explaining a ketone. Like, not again.
Right.
Somebody else tell them.
So real quick, tell everybody. I'm kidding. Don't. Thank you so much for your time, Doctor. This was a pleasure.
You bet. My pleasure, yes.
Can't wait to be back.
You bet.
Thanks.